Like, we're back, man!
What I want to know is where's the caveman?
How's it going, everybody? Yes, we are back with more Scooby Doo content reviews. I have missed this. I know y'all have missed this. And what a great time it couldn't be to finally return and do more of them. Because today we are going to be talking about something that is very special to all of us. One thing that we have been asking and waiting to see over 20 years, and now it's here. Today we're going to review Scooby Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog.
What's a Scooby Doo? We're coming after you. We gotta solve that mystery. I see a Scooby Doo. The trail is back to you. What's a Scooby Doo? Na 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 na
It's good to be back. So, yeah, I have been waiting to talk about this film ever since it was announced all the way back in June. I have been anticipating it, and I have been waiting for it. And unfortunately, in that time, we lost the voice actress of Muriel, the late great Thea White, who this video and review will be dedicated to because, guys, I really cannot stress enough how much Muriel meant to me, and I know she meant a lot to you guys as a character, so I really hope that y'all enjoy this. With all that being said, let's break it down. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, and we're going to start by giving a short synopsis of the film so you have an idea of what you're about to get yourself into. Alright? This story sees Scooby and the gang wrapping up on a caper, a clown caper to be precise. Interesting callback. But then once Velma starts getting into the why and how, then the methods of how the criminal did what he did, Scooby-Doo starts hearing a strange frequency that makes his ears twitch, hypnotizes him, and causes him to dance. So in all of the commotion, he decides he needs to run off, and run he does all the way straight to the middle of nowhere, where he bumps into our favorite pink pup, Courage the Cowardly Dog himself, who is also coincidentally hearing the strange frequency as well. So they decide to talk and figure out what's going on until they are attacked by a giant group of cicada monsters. Thankfully, Scooby's friends come in the nick of time to ward them off. They decide it's best to stay in nowhere, regroup with Muriel and Eustace to figure out what is going on. What is this strange sound that Scooby and Courage are hearing, and what does it have to do with these cicadas? So we're just gonna go ahead and talk about everything here, my likes, my dislikes, and what I think of this film overall, and should you purchase it to add it to your collection as a Courage fan. What I liked is really the very first thing that I wanted to see for a long time since these two came together, and that is the voice acting, cause guys, I'm gonna be frank with you, the voice acting in this for the most part is excellent. Everybody delivers their lines very well. Nothing comes off as forced or wooden. Nothing feels underperformed or overperformed. It's just the right balance. And I really got to give all of that up to the voice director, Wes Gleason. He did a great job making all of these actors feel like they were really bouncing off of each other in a giant studio and really making it all feel natural to them. And speaking of cast, we have our returning cast for both franchises. For the Scooby side, we have Frank Welker playing, once again, Fred Jones and Scooby-Doo. We have Gray Griffin back as Daphne Blake, Matthew Lillard returning as Shaggy, and Kate Micucci as Velma. For Courage, we have Marty Grimestein. For Muriel, we have Thea White. And finally, playing Eustace is the awesome impersonator Jeff Bergman. He is a very special MVP that I will get to in a moment. But as I said, this cast was just delightful to hear bouncing off one another. The great thing about it is they had so many interesting ongoing dynamics, chemistry, you name it. Muriel in particular was one of my favorites, as seeing her and hearing her again for the first time in almost 2 decades since the show ended, it got me all emotional. And maybe that is also due to the passing of Miss Thea White, but either way, I just wanted to hug her and just never let go. It was great. And her chemistry with Velma in them kind of going through this whole riddle thing where she's tossing riddles at her, I thought that was very interesting. And if you're someone like me who's hated how Velma has been in these last 4 Scooby Doo movies, writing off the supernatural as just fake, well then it's kind of a good vindication. Then for Scooby and Courage, what can I say? Marty and Frank just bonded so well together. It was so believable. Immediately as they introduced themselves to one another, it just goes down how you expected it to in your head. They're both dogs. They do the typical dog thing where they sniff each other, and even in a special area that I don't want to get into. Okay, it's the ass. There, you happy? It's the ass. There, happy? Either way, and they just seem to hit it off very nicely. In fact, the most important thing in this picture is to remember both characters are naturally afraid of everything, but they like food. And when the chips are down, they will do whatever they have to find the courage necessary in protecting and keeping their friends and family safe. I very much liked that. Hell, if this would have just been with Scooby being with Courage, Muriel, and Eustace and not the gang, that would have been just as good, if not even better, because you would have been able to see Scooby be on his own and kind of try and figure out how he's going to do this without the gang. Very good stuff. So going back to Jeff Bergman for a second, his role as Eustace was the best. Honestly, if anyone was going to capture the great performance the very first Eustace actor gave, Lionel Wilson, it was Jeff Bergman. He captured the essence of Lionel down to a T, while at the same time not being afraid to kind of give his own take on the character, which was very much appreciative. He did, of course, play Eustace in the 20th anniversary Cartoon Network bumper. That one, it sounded a little too Fred Flintstone, but here he's definitely had some work done, so I gotta give him credit. And there is something that comes up with Eustace that I'll mention later. The animation is flawless, for the most part. It is definitely not the best looking Scooby-Doo film, but in terms of courage, it nails it to a T. In an interview article for the trailer, they specifically stated that they wanted to capture and bring back the popular color palette Courage is known for, and boy oh boy did they do their homework. This not only looks like Courage the Cowardly Dog, it feels like it in animation. There's tons of visual callbacks when Courage screams. They keep tons of Easter eggs if you're a Courage fan, and overall, it just flows like Courage, if that makes any sense. I liked it very much, but the one thing that I will admit is the terrible rendered CGI for the cicadas. Yeah, we get those. It's not the worst I've seen, but it's definitely not the best. I really hate how WB has to use it, considering they don't have enough time to properly render them. I get it, these things are a pain to draw, but still, it would have been nice if maybe you drew a little bit of them. Thankfully, the main cicada queen herself is fully drawn in digital and rarely ever done in CG. Whereas the vehicles, that's somewhat expected. I really can't say I'm shocked there that the Mystery Machine and the Eustace truck is rendered in CG. Still, it's all good. Plus, there's a little bit of some surprise different animation styles that come later in the third act that I think you're very much going to appreciate. Although I will warn those who have epilepsy, or epilepsy as it's called, I would skip it. Just very much skip past it, and I think you'll be fine, because, you know, again, it could cause it. The story is, for the most part, pretty good. Nothing is terrible, don't get me wrong, by the inflection in my tone. I just want to state that going into this, I was really hoping that it would be a great equal footing. But unfortunately, to my less than surprised face, it was kind of another Scoob situation. And hold on, before y'all question what the hell that means, or if you do know what I mean, just calm down. Most of this is most definitely a Courage film that has Scooby Doo in it. The first couple of minutes are Scooby Doo based in the mystery, then it just kind of dissolves slowly into being a Courage film, and I don't know how that's going to make people feel. If you wanted this to be like Scooby Natural, or even Scooby Doo meets Batman Brave and the Bold, you're going to be disappointed. You're really going to be disappointed. However, the bright side of this, if you're a biased Courage fan like I am, you will love this. And essentially, it should be a Courage film first, because we have seen enough of Scooby-Doo. He's had so many direct-to-DVD films, it's just been overwhelming. Courage finally getting his time to shine, I thought was very admirable, and I gotta give the writer Mike Ryan credit, because he did do a good job of what he was trying to do. I just wish John Dilworth, the creator of Courage, would have been hired on as an executive producer to kind of help tweak the script a little bit, but that's just me. It still doesn't take away from the fact that this feels like it was always meant to be Courage's film. And a little trivia here before I continue, this was actually meant to be a episode of Scooby-Doo and Guess Who? But then suddenly they decided, instead of just making it a standard 22-minute episode, they wanted to pitch it as a feature-length film. How awesome is that? It really would have worked out better if it was 22 minutes, because then you would have had that right balance. But screw it. It's Courage the Cowardly Dog. I don't care. So, let's get to my critiques of the film. I mentioned a few of them, but I'm going to elaborate just a little bit more. The jokes. Some of the jokes land, some of them don't. It's kind of hit or miss. The Ooga Booga joke is done one too many times. There is a fart joke, but it actually is somewhat funny after the one or second time, but then it just gets annoying after the third. Then there's smartphones and tablets being heavily involved in this film. Like, it's not just a simple, oh look, they have smartphones. No, the characters really remind you that they are using modern technology, whereas the Courage universe relies on kind of old school technology. So it's an interesting clash, but I really didn't need them to keep hammering it in so much. Then there's, well, I don't know how to put this other than we get a Eustace rap. We get a Eustace rap. I'm not kidding you. It was a little off-putting at first. Then once I went back to it, it's like, well, there were some musicals in Courage the Cowardly Dog that didn't have a lot of build-up. Here, it's kind of somewhat like that, but it just didn't need to be here, although I'm not even gonna lie, it's much better than the Porky Pig one. Oh god. And those are really all of my complaints. So, is it worth it? Now, being real here for a second, yes it is. Not only does this movie deliver on something that we have been waiting for 20 years, but it takes it a step further by being the best Courage film we could have ever gotten. I really wish that this would have came out back when the show was at its peak, but then again, that's really not the case. It was probably better we got it now when we did, because we got to see Marty and Thea come back one last time together, and you can feel the love, the chemistry those two actors had with one another. The friendship they formed 20 years ago still felt so strong in this picture. I can't really describe it other than that. And the third act, while it dissolves into being mostly Courage, it leaves you feeling so warm, so tender, that you're just saying, fuck it. I love this. I love what's happening right now. And that was what it had on me. I have loved Courage since I was at least 4 or 5 years old. It's always been my dream to see a picture with these two, and we got it. So thank you, Warner Brothers Animation, and thank you to the cast, to the crew, for giving it their all. Even if it's not a perfect crossover, it's still a great Courage film that has Scooby-Doo along for the ride. That's all I can really ask for, because when you get right down to it, this was always meant to be for Courage. My final rating for this film is a positive 8.5 out of 10, or a B+. It really is worth checking out, guys. I'd recommend you would get it digitally, as you can actually watch it in full HD, high definition, in 1080p. Unless you're like me and you really want to own it physically, well then buy the DVD, although be warned, it doesn't come with any special features whatsoever, and it's on a standard DVD with pretty much cartoons that you've already seen from Scooby-Doo. Still, I hope you all enjoyed this return to Scooby Doo content. I know I did. It couldn't have been a better time to return. So yes, guys, let me know what you thought of this review. And if you've seen the film yourself, let me know what you think down below. Please, let's keep it spoiler free. And until then, go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe if you want to stick around, and comment down below. And I'll see you guys for the next one.
Hurry, Scooby-Doo!